Okay, good morning, everybody. Hi there. Very chatty Monday morning. Not mad at it. Not mad at it. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Some logistics things to get started today. UNC course, you're probably hearing this from everyone. UNC course evals are open now, and this feedback is super helpful and anonymous, so please fill it out. You probably have already gotten an email and will likely continue to get many more emails with links to this course eval form. So yeah, please take a look and fill that out. That feedback's very helpful. Should I come back, if I end up coming back here, it'll really be helpful when figuring out what courses to teach and how to improve this course, etc., if that happens. And in spirit of trying to get people to fill it out, we failed the last feedback extra credit attempt. We didn't quite make it to 90%. So now if at least 80% of the class completes the course eval, everyone will get a little bit of extra credit in some capacity. Probably not the full point on the final grade. The grades aren't low enough to deserve that, to make that warranted. But maybe an extra lecture or something. I don't know, we'll see. Finally, we finished up the midterm grading. You should have seen that in your email, I think, on Friday. So yeah, we put in all the final grades into Canvas. A reminder about how this worked, because it seemed like there might have been a tiny bit of confusion. For any question that you got wrong, you could go in, provide a new answer, and do a couple quick reflection questions. And if your answer was right and the reflections were adequate, then you got back 60% of the points you lost before. I haven't yet. I should have done some analysis on how, on average, how many points people got back. But it seemed like, anecdotally, the average points back were 4 or 5 out of 51, which is what, 8%, 10%, which is pretty good. And there were some people who got back a lot of points, some people who got back less. But hopefully that helps. You should be able to see all the grades in Canvas. And when I was putting the grades into Canvas, I was like, oh wait, we were gonna have 2 midterms and we have to reweight some things. So previously we had two midterms, both getting 10% of the final grade. And now, there are a few options I could do here. I could just keep it at 10%, but midterm grades are actually pretty good. So I wanted to reward y'all a little bit there. So I bumped that one up to 5 or to 15, and moved the other 5 over to projects and the programming assignments and labs category. And that's all in the syllabus. And I added a thing at the top of the syllabus that's change log, so you can see what's changed. I'm going to go in sometime in the next week or two. I have a couple other small syllabus changes to make, the bug bounty, getting that in there, final project, breakdown. Yeah. Does that make sense? Sound good? Okay. Yesterday, I went through all of the plan and wireframe submissions and gave individual feedback on all of the new idea submissions. So if you wanted to change your idea or update it, I gave you some feedback there, and your proof of concept plan, trying to get you guys to a good spot ahead of FO2. This feedback, to use a annoying computer science joke that I'm not sure it's really even that accurate, but we're taking the concepts and skewing them a little bit for our language. But this feedback was kind of breadth firsty. I was tempted to spend a lot of time on everyone but I think this already took me like 4 or 5 hours yesterday. So at least. So I was like, okay, I gotta go a little bit quicker. So I couldn't get every single detail for everyone. So I might have missed some things. I might have misunderstood some things in your project idea. I might have like checked the rubric item that was like, this looks great, and then given like comments. Sorry. It should still be helpful, especially on the like, roughly is my proof of concept plan too big or too small? And sorry for the unsolicited project advice that slipped in there. I was like, it'd be cool if your app did this. And I was like, wait, that's not in scope for this, but it's there anyways. So yeah, please take a look at that feedback. That should help you get going for FO2. And if you'd like more, thoughtful is not the right word. I can't come up with a better one though. If you want to like actually sit down with me and like I'll like actually commit to figuring out your project and giving you very good individual feedback. Let me know after class, in office hours, campus wire, yada yada yada. Happy to do that. Yeah, so that leaves FO2, which is due this upcoming Thursday, which is soon, and that's the point. Yeah, reminder, this is due early so that you get coding before like 2 weeks from now. So yes, this is a little bit of a push, but that's on purpose, and we'll hopefully, a theme with these deliverables is like get some of the annoying stuff out of the way early. And it was nice to see that in your feedback, you realized that some of the feedback was like, this was a lot of writing, and it was a little bit annoying, but I guess it was helpful. So it was probably good overall. And you know what? I'm not mad at that. This is a similar thing. Starting coding early. For me, that gets me motivated to just like work on it, because it's just like that first barrier a lot of the time. Yeah, so that's due on Thursday. Again, let me know if that's a like significant problem for you. But this is the target. Yeah, so in terms of like the proofs of concepts that I saw, the common theme that I saw from FO1, I guess I meant to say FO1, was that on average, people should probably lower the scope of their proof of concept. I saw a lot of people sort of say like, you know, I'm going to like basically take each individual part of their project and say that they're going to build something like it. And like if your project is actually like many distinct silos that aren't super related, you know, that might be a valid approach. But in my experience, a lot of apps sort of rely on like one or two like really core things. Like if you're doing like a step counter challenge app or whatever, like can I actually read steps from HealthKit, right? You know, like that's a big new, maybe scary technical hurdle that you don't know how to like jump over yet. Let's target that now. Or it's like not actually that complicated, but it's just really core to your app's functionality. Like so we have a lot of book trackers and movie trackers, you know, so can I fetch books or movies from the API and save them and categorize them into lists? The UI should not be nice, I guess, unless that's like a huge part of your app. Like in general, the UI should probably be ugly, just bare bones, enough to validate that you can get the data where it needs to go, get the input from the user, and turn that into something else, those kinds of things. And a lot of the other parts of your app, I would classify as like derivative or relatively simple to implement. A great example here is widgets. Like widgets have very limited interaction capabilities. They basically just take some data from your app and display it somewhere else. You're probably already fetching data in your app, and the widget will pretty likely just be calling on that existing code to display something very similar. And so that probably doesn't need to be in the proof of concept, right? It's just like, I know how to make a widget. I've done it before. There's nothing like earth-shattering about this widget. I'm just grabbing something from Swift data, or like making a request from the network. That's going to be possible. I don't need to verify that right now. But yeah, please start these proofs of concept early. I'm gonna try and give you some time today to work on it, and spend a good amount of time on this. Like, think about it as like one of our projects, not just like as a little deliverable in the overall final project. And yeah, we're happy to work with you in office hours, or I'll be responding to posts on Campus Wire. Yes, please start early. Get help if you need. And this help doesn't even need to be like, I'm running into this bug, please help me debug it. If you're just like, hey, I'm looking at these Spotify API docs, and this authentication thing seems really complicated, can you help me walk through it? Or like, so in my app, I want to do this and store it, and then be able to retrieve it out. Like, help me break that down into like technical implementation details. We're happy to do all of that, and I personally would like actually enjoy it. They'll do it because they're getting paid. Cool. Then some guidelines on like using external resources for the final project. Obviously, using tutorials and things are explicitly encouraged. Like, I asked you to look for tutorials. Some tips when looking for these tutorials, I would recommend like using if you're going to use AI tools, LLMs, I think they're really good for figuring out what to look for. It's like you have this amorphous idea. You're like, I want to add a feature in my app where the user can log their meal, and then when they come back to the app the next time, they can see all of their past meals or whatever, right? That's not a question that Google, or pre-AI overview Google, could answer, right? Google searches usually need to be pretty narrowly scoped. It's like SwiftUI, core location, live updates or something. But LLMs you can throw just a bunch of word garble at, and that's kind of their main thing. What they're really good at is taking this mess of words and condensing it into something easier. So you could totally ask ChatGPT like, hey, I want to display this in my widget. What capabilities can I look into to make this possible? That's a really great use of LLMs. Past that, really recommend reading things by actual humans for like tutorials. Like ChatGPT and stuff is kind of comically, or can be comically bad at these like system framework kinds of things. Like they aren't used commonly enough that like the AI soup knows a lot about it, right? So they'll make things up. Like they won't know that new capabilities exist. But the internet does, and people do. So I recommend like using real tutorials, and if you're looking for them, like prefix your Google searches with SwiftUI, Swift, iOS. Specifically look for SwiftUI a lot of the time, because there's a lot of old materials about like pre-SwiftUI iOS development that'll be a little tricky for you to work with. And I really recommend you like vet tutorials before really going deep into them. Like scroll through them, look for whether or not this person seems reliable. Like there are a lot of tutorials that I wanted to send to you guys, but the grammar was just bad or something. It was like, I don't trust this person to deliver good stuff here. Or is this like actually something that gets me closer? Like there's some things that might seem related, but aren't actually that useful to your project. Like there's a few different ways to read from the photo library, and that like for different use cases. So like vet them, read through them, and then like, does this seem like compatible with my Xcode project? Like you might see words like interface builder or UI kit, and that'll be pretty hard for you to integrate. So I look for SwiftUI specifically. And then if you do find a great resource that you want to use, if it's anything more than like syntax help or like little small things, like searching for foreground style, how to change a button color, if it's like anything more than that, I really ask you to please put code comments linking back to the article. One, of course, from like an academic honesty, plagiarism kind of slant, like cite your sources. Always a good thing to do in school. Really helps avoid a lot of issues. But also, like practically, say you come back to this code. I guess you probably won't for this, but in general, when you're writing code, you come back to it in like a year, something's wrong. You look at this code, you're like, I have no idea what's going on here. I don't remember where I found it. I don't know what's going on. Being able to link back to that original article is like huge to be able to go back and find. So like this is something I do in my own personal projects and like in work projects and stuff. Really encourage you to do the same here. And then, yeah, the flow that we went through for the widget project for Prelude is something I really encourage. Follow along the tutorial in a simple, dumb the app, figure out what's going on, figure out if it's helpful. Do all of that before ever touching your code, so your code doesn't end up like tainted by the like half dozen tutorials you have completed, right? Wait till you find something good, then like write all of your code in your project, thinking about every line. It's like, is this actually what I want to be doing? That'll help a lot. Yeah, that's that. Any questions there? Probably not. Okay, let me know if you like run into any ambiguities or like things you're not sure of. Happy to work with you on that. Cool. Then for a little bit, as I was scrolling through or like reading through project ideas, I was like, oh, this little SwiftUI view could be nice, but it like hasn't come up. That happened a few times. So this is going to be a little bit grab baggy of just like 3 or 4 different little SwiftUI views that didn't come up but are useful. The first being scroll view. We've made a lot of scrolling UIs, but just with list. But if you want to do some scrolling that list doesn't support, maybe horizontally, maybe you don't want like all of the list rows and everything. You want to be able to like put in a grid there or do something different. We have scroll view, just a really flexible way to add scrolling. So you can specify which axes to scroll along, either like vertical or horizontal or both. Then whenever the stuff inside the curly braces gets either wider or taller than the available space, boom, it scrolls. That's really it. I've got this pulled up in Xcode just for gigs. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. We have a scroll view, and then what? That's just not right. Oh, weird. Yeah, I have a horizontal scroll view, the for each over some strings, and I'm displaying the text. Wow. This could be for like an Instagram story kind of UI, which is like roughly what I was trying to replicate here. Like days along the top of a weather app or calendar app, all sorts of goodies. One little thing that I snuck in here was lazy HStack. It works just like HStack, but it does some smart, like, it has some smarts where it'll only render the views that are on screen So if you have like a really long list, if you just use HStack, like SwiftUI is going to be tracking where every single element is, even if they're like way, way, way off the screen. Lazy HStack instead will like only render the stuff that's on screen and maybe a couple outside for performance reasons. You probably won't like run into problems with HStack performance, but lazy HStack and its V counterpart, pretty cool. Small change with a big performance impact. Then we have tab view. This enables the like bottom tab bar navigation that you've seen all over the place in Instagram and the clock app and Find My, I don't know, all sorts of apps have this bottom navigation. It's really easy. This is a new API for it, this like tab. This is new last year, which is pretty nice. Before it was a little more annoying. You just say, hey, I want a tab view. And instead of like rendering the views like right away, you say, hey, I have these specific tabs, and the things inside there, curly braces, are like the actual tab content. And then you say the name and the icon for it. It builds up this UI, adds the bar at the bottom, and like the view and the main viewport is whichever tab is currently selected. Pretty straightforward, yeah.
Does that support where you can just swipe to go between the tabs?
No, but, or yes, but kind of. Shoot, tab view demo. By default, on iOS, it uses this like bottom tab bar style, but I think this might just be really easy. We can say, hey, tab view style, I want the page tab view style, and then you can like swipe between them. I don't know why it's not showing the like indicators. Indicator. It's been a while since I messed with this. I don't remember how to do it, but there's a way to add like it's called like the pagination indicator, the like dots, like at the bottom of an Instagram carousel. You can add the dots there. And I think it's pretty straightforward. I just don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, that's tab view. Really common. A lot of your apps can probably use it. Really straightforward. Yeah, there's that. Then a view I know a lot of you will want to use is called async image. If you're like fetching books or movies from an API and want to display like their cover art, you can use async image. All you need to do is provide a URL. So like basically the whole web works like this, where images all have their own unique URLs, and then your browser will make a request to download the image data when it sees one. SwiftUI can do the same thing with the async image API. You say, hey, I want an async image that displays this URL, and that's all you need to do basically. But as it's written here, the image will just show up at its like true size. There's a whole bunch of ways to customize it. A bunch of different like, how to say this? A bunch of different initializers on it where you can okay, so like this one here, you can do a couple things. You can like resize the image. So like a long time ago, we saw that images by default like render at their native resolution. So I can say inside here, once SwiftUI has fetched the image data, it'll give me the image, and I can say, image dot resizable, scaled to fill, whatever. And it should theoretically eventually maybe show up. I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. I haven't used this in a little bit. Looks fine to me. I don't know. You can do stuff like this. This is another one of those, hey, this stuff exists moments. Go Google async image. You'll find people who wrote articles who knew what they were talking about at the time of writing. I have known how to use this, lest I forgot. But you can also provide a placeholder, like what shows up while the image is loading. Like you've probably seen like in social media apps where like while the post is downloading, it shows a little spinner, or it shows a little like gray profile picture, like icon before the actual profile picture comes in. Yeah, there's that. Then one last thing I wanted to show real quick was picker. I don't think this came up, but I've seen people use it. Picker lets you pick from a set of options. So we can do something like choose your tip picker kind of thing. We can say tip %. It's a double that starts at 0. And we can just say picker tip. We give it a binding to the selection. That's like the thing that's currently selected. And when you tap on one of the options, it'll update the binding. And we can say, hey, give me a 0% option, 25, 50, 100, 25, 50, 100. And I think this will get us close. Yep. This is one place where like customizing the style helps a lot. This segmented picker is nice. Yeah, so like, this is the like segmented thing that we've seen a lot. One thing that you'll probably run into is that you need to tell SwiftUI how to map like the view into like data to be selected. So you use a new modifier called the tag modifier to like specify what the associated data is. And so now we should see, yeah, we can like choose our tip amounts. This is a little finicky because it requires the like types to be exactly the same. So before I just had 0 and 1, and it was like an integer is not a double. I can't deal with this. But now that we like explicitly did 0.0, we're getting the selection and our UI, like the rest of our app can know. Yeah, 0%, 25, 50, 100. Yeah, for stuff like input fields where the user chooses between like a static list of options or tip selectors, this kind of thing can be fun. Yeah, that's all I have for now. Some fun little SwiftUI stuff. Rather than doing like one big workday today or Wednesday, I think I'm just going to try and do shorter ones in that time as well. So on Wednesday, the plan is to talk about like custom URL schemes and deep links, so that like the user can like click on a URL in the Notes app or a text message or something and get taken into your app and like get taken to like a particular resource, which is like basically the whole web. This is not really innovative. But yeah, we're going to talk about that on Wednesday briefly. That'll be helpful for you OAuth people. Yeah, so for the rest of the time, please start working on your proof of concept. The very minimum I want you to be able to do is to have created an Xcode project and put it in your repository by the end of today. Of course, please try and do more. The attendance submission, I'll go ahead and open it. I'll keep it set to open at 11:55. I'll let you know when that happens. Once that comes around, please submit the photo booth picture and picture of your Xcode project. Yeah, have fun. I'll walk around. Flag me down if you want to talk about your proof of concept or anything at all. Yeah, have fun. I'll be back in 10 minutes to let you know about the attendance.